Hey there, this is Jackie Bolin, and today I'm going to share one of my favorite tips for you for when you're teaching ESL speaking. So the tip is related to teaching our students how to ask questions. So maybe you've had a situation like this. You ask your student, or sorry, not you ask, but they ask you, how was your weekend? You say, it was great, and then the conversation finishes. There's nowhere to go. There's so many of those awkward question-answer type conversations that actually could be expanded into really interesting conversations if our students knew how to ask questions. So a better example of that conversation is something like, how was your weekend? It was great. And then the student could ask a follow-up question, oh, like, what did you do? Or did you go out with your friends? Or there are so many questions that are possible. I'm not sure why exactly our students are really not good at asking follow-up questions. In South Korea, at least. I realize in some other countries where students are not so shy, it's a lot easier to engage in conversations. But two theories that I have for South Korea is that simply students are not expected to ask follow-up questions. So there are so many textbooks that just give the basic question and answer, and then they don't push the students to ask follow-up questions. So something that you can do in your class to encourage this is always make students ask one or two follow-up questions in any sort of conversation activity that you're doing. And you can teach your students the 5 W questions and the H questions. So who, what, when, why, where, and how. That's really, really helpful for them just to have in the back of their mind, and even beginners, if you give them that and say, okay, ask one follow-up question to your partner, they're usually able to do it. And the second reason I think why students often struggle with follow-up questions is that they simply don't know the forms of the questions. Languages are different, and all languages form questions in kind of a different way, which may or may not be similar to English. So if the language that your students speak is not similar in that way to English, they might not actually really remember or be good or understand how to do the question forms. So it can be really, really helpful for you to just quickly go over that before an activity starts, and then maybe write down 1 or 2 or 3 question forms down on the board, or examples for your students to follow when they're making their own questions. Alright, if you like this tip and want some more, as well as 39 no prep, low prep ESL speaking activities, head on over to Amazon and get my book. I'll put the link down in the notes below.